Do you read Captain K's Corner by any chance? Captain Seth Cashel?
It sounds familiar, but I probably come across it, but I don't read it regularly, no.
Okay, well, he is a data stats guy like you. And he's looking at this election, so I just want to give you this to tee you off on what you're going to talk about.
Yeah.
This is what he says today. Take all of my predictions, which will arrive in a flurry over the weekend and on Monday with an asterisk. Unlike mainstream prognosticators, I am not hedging. I have little interest in maintaining street cred so people listen to me in 2028. I am simply making predictions on the data that will serve as a marker in time as to exactly how the data look and why a Trump victory is highly likely if and only if our elections are run with a modicum of security. And voter confidence in the process. I now present the top 10 reasons Trump is poised for victory this November. And that's where you're going to agree with him because he says, and he also says, I will wager right now to anyone that wants to bet me my home and my children's homes that Trump's going to win. But he says this, 30 of 31 states that register voters by party have become either more Republican or less Democrat than they were at the time of the 2020 election, with Colorado being the only state drifting left. Okay, let's start there. So what about registration in the Midwest? You said you were going to talk about the Midwest, the Rust Belt, and the work to be done.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the work has been done. What's left to be done is men need to come out to vote. So in Pennsylvania, in Wisconsin, to a lesser extent in Michigan, there have been really, really good people on the ground, Scott Pressler, Pennsylvania Chase, Turning Point Action, that have flipped many of these counties in Pennsylvania from blue to red, or have run up the score in the deeper red counties, the rural counties of Pennsylvania. Same thing in Wisconsin. A lot of work has been done up in Brown County, in Dane County to try to mitigate some of the gap there. And then obviously the big effort has been in what's called the WOW counties, Waukesha, Ozaukee, and Washington counties. Those are the counties that surround Milwaukee. And you're seeing it bear out in the early voting. The early voting is showing a deep red swath around Milwaukee right now. And that was the goal of Turning Point Action. That's the goal of, I think, the overall Trump campaign. President Trump won Waukesha County with 62% of the vote in 2020. The goal was to get that number up to about 64 or 65%. Just win on the margins. Turning Point and other organizations believe that if you, rather than trying to spend time chasing after swing voters and Democrats and independents, it's better to just be going after your base of unreliable voters. So people that agree with you, we've talked about this before, high affinity, low propensity voters, gun owners, Christians, men, these types of blue collar people, small business owners, go after them and get them to vote. So far, what we're seeing, particularly in places like Arizona, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, we're seeing a lot of these, and you're able to track this, a lot of these high affinity, low prop voters that are coming out to vote early.
Okay.
This is really, really good. And then the mail-in ballot voting is down in all of these states, and that's obvious. I think a lot of the fraud and stuff that took place was the result of mail-in ballots and ballot harvesting. I mentioned that earlier. That's all down, or a lot of it has been mitigated by laws that have been passed or new rules that have come into act. But what needs to happen right now, and this makes sense. I mean, if you think about this, just how men go about their everyday lives. Men wait to the last minute to do things.
Yep.
We all do it, right? Men wait. They wait to the absolute last day.
That's me.
So right now, same here. Right now, everything looks good in terms of the breakdown of how votes are coming in and who's voting. But there's a gap right now between 10 and 12 points between women and men in all of the swing states. Now, the idea is that is going to shift significantly because so many men wait till election day to vote. So there's been a major drive to get these high affinity, low propensity voters to come out before election day. That has happened. It's happened significantly in places like Nevada, in North Carolina, in Arizona, and Pennsylvania. But now the key is men. it's up to men. This is it. We've been saying it from the beginning of this election season. This election will, ride or die on the backs of men, whether men show up on election day. And this is now it. This is what needs to be done in the Rust Belt. There are some data folks that I like to follow. I am not a data person myself. I just like to read the stuff and interpret it and report it back to you all. But there are some data people that are already calling Nevada for Trump, calling North Carolina for Trump, ready to call Georgia for Trump, and ready to call Pennsylvania for Trump. I'm not quite there yet.
Yeah.
And they're doing it based on extrapolating the data out on what's already come in.
Yeah, don't extrapolate. You're an enemy of the state at that point. No. We're down six. We're down 6. We're on the 2-yard line. It's Green Bay versus Dallas.
Correct.
It's 13 below 0. Bart Starr's at quarterback, and we got 3 downs.
Right. That's right. And that's where I was this week in Wisconsin. I was on the ground myself, ballot chasing and doing the work that hundreds of other people that we have on the ground there are doing, going after these voters. I was in Pewaukee, Wisconsin. I was walking around Lake Pewaukee and knocking on the doors of registered Republicans who have a history of not voting or lapsing in their voting. And we're just trying to make sure that they have all the data they need to make sure that they vote by Election Day. And had some very interesting conversations. And we're seeing it play out. We're seeing some of that hard work play out. But it's up to men at this point. That's going to be the deciding factor. And men have to show up to vote by Election Day.
Something else very interesting happened, and Jonathan Turley kind of called this the other day on Fox News, and of course he's a writer and a genius in his own regard. He said he didn't know if the Supremes wanted to get involved and take any of the cases that had come their way, but that if they did, then that might signal to other people that you may not want to do that, because if the SCOTUS gets in, you're probably going to lose, and it's going to turn out very badly for you. The SCOTUS got involved and told Virginia, go ahead and kick those people off the rolls. Mm-hmm. Basically said nationwide, you got illegals on your rolls, kick them off. If your law says you can kick them off, kick them off. Now, this, short of a certiorari, a writ of certiorari, big legal speak there, a writ of certiorari coming out of that, and I don't think that was actually a writ of certiorari, but short of that actually happening, that to me is the SCOTUS going like, okay, we shouldn't have sat on the sidelines. We should have taken the Pennsylvania case in October or early November of 2020, and much of this probably wouldn't have happened because we could have invaded on it. Much of what's happened since probably wouldn't have happened. Now we don't want to be the enemies of history again. So, no, you can do that, Virginia. This, to me, signals that the court is not just going to sit there like the Democrats expect them to do and do absolutely nothing when genuine affronts to the constitutional process for voting are presented. So a lot of the cheating has already been ferreted out. There are already people that have been busted. The Trump campaign's out there issuing that memo again, going like, we're going to win, and when we do, if you're one of the people that cheated, we're going to fine you, we're going to prosecute you, and you're going to freaking jail. So I think enough of this clowning around here. Are they going to try and cheat? Yeah. Who do they want to sacrifice that's going to get caught after the fact? So this is not 2020. People think this is a repeat of 2020, and they're just going to hop, skip, and jump and pour 500,000 votes in the Wednesday morning after in Detroit and in Philadelphia. And I can't tell you that they're not going to try to do that, but there is legal and physical and on the ground pushback this time. This won't be video. This won't be a found footage horror movie, Don. This will be George Webb's guys were standing there and filmed the truck going in, got the license plate number, and even got a shot of the dude that's driving it, right? That is a far cry from what happened in 2020.
We weren't even looking for this stuff in 2020. Now there are organizations like True the Vote that are out there that are specifically out there to defend against this stuff. They have an army of lawyers. I think there was duplicate votes that were found, over 100,000 duplicate votes that were found in Michigan, and
150,000.
They got them bounced. I mean, they weren't counted. So these are things that probably would not have happened in 2020. So, and we're going to see, how it all plays out. And again, we've talked about it. before on the show, as Catholics, as Christians, really, don't fall into the sin of despair. Don't be cynical. These people operate outside of grace. They are prone to error. They are prone to mistakes. And I shared this with you, from Christopher Rufo earlier in the week, who I think does really great work.
Yes.
And he said this on X, and I'll share it here. It's absurd to expect politics to conform to one's individual preferences and idiosyncrasies. The essence of politics is decision under imperfect conditions.
There you go.
If you can't figure out how to rank Trump and Harris, you're just navel-gazing. That's you, Catholics. That's you, Christians. There's a lot of you out there that are expecting King St. Louis to walk through that door. It's not happening. We live in an imperfect world, in an imperfect society. 14th century Spain is not coming back. 15th century Italy, 16th century, wherever you want to be in the world, 15th century Portugal, it's not happening. Okay, this is the time and place we live in. We have imperfect vessels that we're working with. It's an opportunity to try to do some good for the next 4 years, and you can get good done in better conditions. And if you allow someone like Kamala, and you will allow it, if you don't vote, you will allow it. You allow someone like Kamala to come into office, you are risking the lives of pro-lifers who stand outside abortion clinics. You're risking the lives of any journalist that seeks to expose the evil that they're doing. You're risking the lives of a lot of people and a lot of futures. So I encourage you to get off your high horse, and I'm sorry, I'm calling you out. Get off, take the pride out of your eyes, realize where you are. You're enjoying the benefits of living in this country. Doesn't take much to vote. It's a really light lift. There's a lot of other people doing some really heavy lifting.
Yeah, we have.
This is a light lift. It's a light lift.
It's a light. Quickly, JD Vance, listen to this.
These signs that are in super woke neighborhoods, I'm sure there's plenty of them in Austin. Like, in this house, we believe science is real. No person is legal. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know your religious background, but like I'm a convert to Catholicism. It's like was raised Christian, became an atheist, came back to Christianity, got baptized Catholic like 5 or 6 years ago. And what is so interesting about this in this house we believe is it's so similar to the creed that you declare every day at a Catholic Mass, right? We believe in one Lord Jesus Christ, the only begotten Son of God. And there's almost a similar cadence between the Christian creed and what these guys are doing with this hyper woke stuff. And
Okay,
then
stop the
there's
tape right because
rally.
we're running out of time because I really want to get Don's take on this. 13 million boys, young men, are going to hear the first 3 lines, the first 2 statements of the creed. I'll take the win.
Yep.
That's
absolutely.
Now tell me why you're staying home and tell me why everything is broken and everything sucks and we're not going to win it. You just heard the creed. The creed, credo and deum, unum, you know the rest of it. You just heard the creed right there. The first 2 sentences in English are going to be replayed about 35 million times on Spotify. And people are going to hear it and go like, I didn't know that was the thing. I've never heard that before. Don't tell me.
I was just going to say, Michael, why did those things happen? Because an imperfect guy, Elon Musk, decided to buy X, not a Catholic, okay, an imperfect guy, not in a state of grace, but is being moved in some way by God to be used for greater good, bought X, which allowed freedom of speech, which allowed this to be played, which, again, another guy, Joe Rogan, a fallen away Catholic. This is a guy that, has no faith, maybe is seeking, maybe is truth-seeking, looking for answers, but is willing to have JD Vance on. And again, the people behind Trump's campaign who are getting him on all these different podcasts, Theo Von Show, he's, coming on with Logan Paul, The Undertaker. All these shows that young men watch and listen to, this has an impact. You don't know what's going to be said, like JD Vance repeating the lines of the creed on the Joe Rogan Show, and how that might impact someone later in life.
You just
or
don't
how
know.
it may impact someone now.
We got to go, Don.
So these are opportunities. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Safe travels back, brother. We'll see you Tuesday.
Yeah. See you Tuesday.